Okay, recording is in progress. And once again, just welcome to Marshall College's 2021 orientation. Just to introduce myself, my name is Kayla. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm an incoming fourth year. I major in human development with a double minor in education studies and political science. And I am one of 3 senior orientation leaders this year. Yeah. We're super excited to have you here as we continue to adjust and adapt to the global pandemic. We're honored to share this virtual space with you all as you embark on this journey here at Thurgood Marshall College and at UC San Diego. Today, you'll be meeting a number of Marshall College staff, including our provost, our academic advising, you'll be meeting student affairs, and also our lovely orientation leaders. But before we begin, we just want to remind you all of a few things. If you have any concerns or emergencies throughout orientation, feel free to send me a private message on Zoom. Please also remember that orientation is mandatory and attendance will be taken throughout the session. So you want to make sure that you're coming back from breakout rooms and whatnot, that you're back in the main session because attendance will be taken. If you're having connection issues or you drop out of the call or you can't come back in, don't forget that we have a troubleshooting room where you can talk with our orientation intern, Cece and Isaac, who can help redirect you. We also want to encourage you all to turn on your cameras if you're comfortable with it so that we can continue building our Marshall community. And also your orientation leaders may utilize visual activities, so it benefits you to have your cameras on. However, we do want to remind you to keep in mind to keep yourself muted just throughout the entire presentation, unless you're participating in a small group activity in a breakout, or if we're doing a larger debrief. On your video panel, please select Show Active Speaker during the presentation so that you can give your undivided attention to the presenter. And then lastly, please be respectful of all the speakers, your orientation leaders, and your peers. And thank you all for being here today. And we feel honored to welcome you to UC San Diego and Thurgood Marshall College. So at this time, we will formally begin orientation session with a land acknowledgement from Autumn, who's the chair of the Native American and Indigenous Student Alliance, and Dylan, who is the garden coordinator at our Kumeyaay Garden. We can't hear volume.
Congratulations on being the 51st class of Thurgood Marshall College, also known as Lumumba Zapata College. My name is Autumn Saragosa, or Dancing Butterfly, as was given to me by Chief Michael Negrete. My pronouns are they and she, and I'm currently a third-year art history student within UC San Diego. I'm also the current vice chair of NASA, the Native American and Indigenous Students Alliance here on campus, as well as a member of the Kumeyaay Garden Committee. My tribes are Kuya and Gabrielino.
My name is Dylan Balduki Hermosa, and I am a Kariwarmi and Dayan person. I'm a second-year archaeology student here at UCSD. Like Autumn, I'm also a member of the Kumeyaay Garden Committee, as well as someone on the NISA board as the garden coordinator.
During your time in Thurgood Marshall College, you will have the opportunity to grow and learn through the acquisition of knowledge from your professors, mentors, peers, and those that have come before you. While you begin your journey of self-discovery, as well as discovery of the world around you through a lens of social justice, I invite you to consider those that were displaced in order for this college to stand as it does today, the Kumeyaay Nation. The Kumeyaay Nation continues to thrive and prosper despite the adversity placed upon them by 3 different waves of colonialism. They continue to take care of not only themselves, but offer resources to all of San Diego and anyone willing to enrich themselves with Indigenous knowledge. Kumeyaay Community College is a great example of this. As we proceed to our working land acknowledgement, let us keep this in mind.
The UCSD community holds great respect for the land and the original people of the area where our campus is located. The university was built on the unceded territory of the Kumeyaay Nation. Today, the Kumeyaay people continue to maintain their political sovereignty and cultural traditions as vital members of the San Diego community. We acknowledge their tremendous contributions to our region and thank them for their stewardship.
Thank you, Dylan, for the land acknowledgement. Land acknowledgements are crucial, but must be paired with action in order to be proactive rather than performative. In the chat, you will find a link to an interest form for the Kumeyaay Garden that will allow you to stay up to date on ways to support.
The garden aims to indigenize spaces around campus, as well as to promote the resiliency and continued presence of the Kumeyaay Nation. The garden is a small but important part of the rematriation of land, as well as the movement towards land back. It is also a step towards the decolonization of our space and inclusion of our ways of knowing, as it aims to teach about indigenous ethnobotany. While we are taking some steps here to combat colonialism, action needs to be taken all across Turtle Island and beyond. Many sacred sites and land in general are under attack and being desecrated at many different fronts. From the UC invested and supported 30-meter telescope on Mauna Kea to the many different tar sand pipelines that litter the Great Plains and Great Lakes, like Lines 3, 5, and the Dakota Access. The Arctic National Wildlife Refuge up north, Oak Flats, Pavungna, Bear Ears, and the border wall down south. Indigenous sovereignty, livelihood, and cultural perpetuity are all under constant threat. And these are just issues that affect Native people within the American Empire, not even mentioning the struggles of our northern and southern relations. Furthermore, here's a link provided to learn more about Line 3 and how to connect Anishinaabe land from afar.
With these tools and the tools that you will gain through your attendance at Marshall College, I hope that you find yourself encouraged to push the limits of what it means to be a scholar in this world, as well as what your duty is to those around you as you take your own steps towards dismantling the colonization of the land, education, and also yourself as we further examine our own unconscious biases. We wish you luck during your next few years here at Thurgood Marshall College and encourage you to think freely, speak strongly, and listen closely.
Tupunan Chikama, and thank you. May you find your path with ease and happiness.
We begin with land acknowledgement, and we continue with how we engage with, learn about, and advocate alongside Indigenous peoples. Some important dates to remember include October 11th, which is Indigenous Peoples Day in California, November, which is Native American Heritage Month. At Marshall, we started a Native Kumeyaay garden in partnership with the Intertribal Resource Center, the Native American Student Alliance, and also Jonathan Kim, who is a class of 2020, who made this his Doc 3 project. We encourage you all to think about whose tribal and ancestral lands you might be on when you're outside of San Diego. In the chat, we'll be sending, we just sent a link so you can look at whose native lands you might be on. Now we will be starting off orientation with a warm welcome from our provost, Dr. Leslie Carver.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thurgood Marshall College and UC San Diego. My name is Leslie Carver, and I'm privileged to serve as the provost of Marshall College and to welcome you to the 2021 orientation. As provost, my job is to oversee the academic and administrative mission of the college. So I oversee academic advising and student life and supervise the staff in those areas. As provost, I am a faculty member. I come from the psychology department in the Human Developmental Sciences program. So, you know, I'm not an expert in student life and sort of an expert in some aspects of academia, but not all. So I'm really fortunate to be able to work with a fantastic team of professionals in both academic advising and student life. You'll get to meet many of them today, and they're really career professionals in these areas and really understand how to support students. I also have the opportunity to work with other provosts to create programs that are designed to improve the student experience across campus. So one of the programs I'm really excited about, want to tell you about, is called TRELS. It stands for Triton Research and Experiential Learning Scholars Program. It is a scholarship program where we provide scholarships to students to work outside the classroom with a faculty member. That might be on research, but it also might be on things like art or public service. And we really try to provide those scholarships to students who otherwise might face obstacles towards getting those kinds of experiences. I was a first-gen college graduate, so I really didn't know those kind of opportunities were available until somebody told me about it. And that's one of the reasons I'm really passionate about that program. As a Marshall College student, you're joining a college that has a really rich history. Marshall is the third of UC San Diego's 7 colleges, and we're named after Justice Thurgood Marshall, who was the first Black justice of the Supreme Court. He really lived a life of scholarship and civic engagement, and that's what we're looking for our students. We really try to live up to our motto of developing the student as scholar and citizen. Marshall College has started multiple departments on campus. Those include communications, Third World Studies, the African American Studies minor, and some others. We also have a public service minor that is embedded in the college that I would encourage you to check out. So we're really excited that you'll be joining us this year to add to the legacy of our college. Today, you'll meet the orientation leaders and the amazing staff at Marshall College. And so I would really encourage you to connect with them and learn as much as you can from them. They're incredible. I also would really encourage you to try to connect with me throughout the year. I'm always available by email. My email is tmcprovost@ucsd.edu, and I love talking to students and helping them with anything that you encounter. I also will have office hours. Those are currently by appointment, but at some point they'll be scheduled at a location on campus, and I would encourage you to come by and just say hi or ask any questions, or if you want to talk about how to get into grad school or career transitions, I'm happy to talk to you about any of those things. And then finally, keep an eye on Marshall's social media. That's at your TMC family on most platforms. So welcome again, and I'm really excited to have you here at Marshall College. Have a great day.
We thank Provost Carver for that warm welcome. On the screen right now, you're seeing the agenda for this morning, so take a quick look at it. This is kind of the schedule we'll be following today. If we can go to the next slide. So again, welcome to Marshall College. Before we continue with our orientation session, we wanted to provide you all with a brief history of our college. On the following slide, we have an opening quote from Angela Davis. Thank you. From Angela Davis. We wanted our goals to be transparent, Lumumba Zapata College, and our theoretical formulation was to be a place where our peoples could acquire the knowledge and skills we need in order to more effectively wage our liberation struggles. The college would never become the revolutionary institution we had originally projected. Concessions were going to be inevitable. The most important responsibility resting with us was to ensure that whoever became involved in the college, students and faculty alike, carried on the legacy of struggle out of which the idea of Lumumba Zapata was born. This quote again is from Angela Davis, and we will be coming back to this quote throughout both orientation sessions. I also want to welcome some of our orientation leaders who are going to help present the next few slides. So our orientation leaders who will be presenting are Selena, Pico, Sam, and Sabrina.
So Thurgood Marshall College was founded in 1970 by student activists from the Mexican American Youth Association and the Black Student Council, who came together to form the Lumumba Zapata Coalition to re-envision the potential of Third College for students of color. At the time, the only colleges on campus were Revelle College and Muir College. However, students of color as well as working class students felt alienated from the university. Angela Davis spoke of this experience of walking around campus and not seeing Black folks, resulting in her having a difficult time finding community. The Lumumba Zapata Coalition created a list of demands for the college, ranging from representation in both academics and physical structure of the campus, as well as community participation, which involved going to local high schools to recruit students of color.
We see that the buildings located in Marshall College are inspired by African and Mexican architecture. They also were created with the intention of fostering community. This can be seen by how low the buildings are, the way that the upper and lower apartments face one another, the amount of community-oriented spaces that Marshall College has, such as Angela Space, Marshall Field, the cul-de-sac. This can also be seen in the lecture halls. For example, Sequoia Hall has a courtyard where students are able to hang out or study in their free time.
So in 1993, it was proposed that Third College be named after Justice Thurgood Marshall, the first African-American Supreme Court justice in the US, and NAACP lawyer who worked in getting the Supreme Court to declare segregated schools unconstitutional in the landmark case Brown versus Board of Education. Students at the time actually protested changing the name of Third College as they felt that Third College represented the history of their struggles and activism. However, we have continued to ensure that the history and values of Third College aren't lost as we continue their legacy in our college today.
One way this legacy is continued at Marshall College today is through the use of restorative practices. We want to name that UC San Diego did not come up with these restorative practices used throughout campus. Rather, we draw from Indigenous communities in which they originate. Throughout both orientation sessions, we will be engaging in circle practice. Some key components of this include centering breaths, opening quotes, discussion questions, speaker list, and closing quotes. This allows for everyone to have a chance to speak without having to talk over someone else. It gives space to those who may need a little more time to transfer their thoughts into words. Though this may be new for some of you all, we urge you to lean in and engage in these discussions.
In a brief moment, we will be putting you all into breakout rooms with your orientation leader, who will serve as a resource for you throughout your orientation sessions. These groups are intended to provide space for you all to build connections with one another during your transition to becoming a student here at Marshall College. You all will be engaging in circle practice in your orientation groups throughout our sessions, with your orientation leader serving as the facilitator. We hope that you all lean into this learning edge as we engage in circle practice. We'll now be opening the breakout rooms, and this is where you'll meet your orientation leader and some of your fellow incoming Marshall students. If you have any difficulties joining the breakout room, I will try and put you in manually, and we'll try and get you there immediately. So, but yes, welcome back, everyone. I hope that you were able to have good conversation with your orientation leaders, and that you're able to get to know one another. And yeah, so next we will be having a short little break. It'll only be about I'll give y'all 5 minutes. So we're gonna reconvene at 10:02. So in this break, it's called a take what you need break. If you need to grab a snack, grab some water, use the restroom, please do so. But we will be going on just a short little break. And yeah, if Alexis, you can go to the next slide, I think. Oh, there's a little something over the, thank you. Yeah, we'll be playing some music. Feel free to, you can turn off your cameras, you can mute, all that stuff. But we'll be playing music and just vibing out, so yeah. Alexis, I still think there's. So hello, I hope you all had a good, nice little 5-minute take what you need break. I hope you were able to maybe get a stretch break in there or something. But yeah, I hope also that last breakout room was a lot of fun and that you were able to meet your orientation leader. And yes, so now we'll be transitioning into academic advising, and I'll be handing it off to Christian and Monica from Marshall's academic advising team. And yeah, so Christian and Monica, take it away.
Hi, good morning, class of 2023. Welcome to the academic advising portion of your new student orientation program. My name is Christian Austin. I'm a senior academic counselor, and joining me today is my colleague, who I will let introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Gonzalez, also a senior academic counselor with Marshall College.
So we're members of the academic advising team who worked with you throughout the summer in preparation for fall quarter enrollment, and we will continue to support you over the next 2 years as you satisfy academic requirements. Our session today will be about 50 minutes, and we'll have time for question and answer at the end. So this presentation is designed to introduce you to the quarter system at UC San Diego, how academic advising works at this university, and resources available to support you throughout your academic journey. We go into more detail with who we are and what our office does so that you can become familiar with our advising services. Later in the session, you'll have an opportunity to spend time in small groups with your orientation leaders and discuss additional ways to be successful academically. And then we'll open up the floor for question and answers that you may have. So let's get started. So our academic year at UC San Diego is divided into 4 terms: fall, winter, spring, and summer. Most students will be enrolled during the fall, winter, and spring quarters, with summer session being open for enrollment, but it's optional. Fall, winter, and spring quarter include 10 weeks of instruction, followed by a week of final exams. Your final exam schedule is visible on WebReg. While attending UCSD, you'll learn to identify academic deadlines by their week of instruction. So for example, Friday of week 2 is the add deadline, and the first drop deadline is Friday of week 4. The first set of midterms is likely to begin during week 3. However, you could have midterms as early as week 2. The full list of university-wide academic deadlines can be found on TridenLink at the address noted on this slide. We encourage you to continuously monitor your UCSD email as well as Canvas to ensure you're receiving the most up-to-date information regarding your classes. While the quarter system moves quickly, there is a robust support system available to help you navigate your academic requirements. To support students as they navigate their academic advising journey, we have a system of specialists in each area to support you. International advisors include those in the study abroad office to help you learn about study abroad programs, as well as advisors for international students in the International Students and Programs Office, who can assist you with questions related to your visa status. Department and program advisors are considered specialists in reviewing major and/or minor requirements. We, your Marshall College advisors, assist you in understanding your general education and university requirements. Internship advisors are available to those seeking to learn more about internship opportunities or how to gain academic credit for a current internship. And the Career Center can provide guidance on employment or graduate school information. Additional advising at the university for academics includes financial aid and scholarships, student affairs and organizational support, as well as the CAPS and Wellness Cluster. You'll have an opportunity to discover more about student affairs resources, campus orgs, and the CAPS Wellness Clusters through your Canvas orientation modules. Now, all students will need to meet with their major and/or minor advisors. Your department and program advisors will be able to assist you with the requirements towards graduation that are specific to your major and minor. If you have questions or would like to learn more about your major, you'll want to consult with your advisors as they serve as the specialist for your program. They are also the first stop in creating your long-term academic plan. The quickest way to contact them is through the Virtual Advising Center, or for general information, you may visit their website. At Marshall College, we specialize in helping you understand your general education as well as your university requirements. We provide information on academic policies that affect all students. We serve as the final stop in developing your long-term plan after you've met with your major and/or minor advisor. When you have questions about your academic record, long-term plan, or educational opportunities, please do not hesitate to reach out to us through the Virtual Advising Center. We will always answer your questions and refer you to the appropriate department to handle your inquiry. So our team consists of 8 professional staff members and 7 student workers. And so while you don't have an assigned counselor, we encourage you to visit us when you feel you can or when you feel like you need to. Our student staff can also provide you with their own unique student perspective and help guide you in making well-informed decisions related to your academics. Maybe from learning how to submit documents to us, where to find a list of GE courses, or understanding how to build an appropriate schedule in a future quarter. Ultimately, our office does understand that many concerns and situations may arise throughout your academic journey and impact your experience here at UCSD. However, we won't know your specific concerns without speaking to you directly. So we encourage you to meet with our office as well as your major and/or minor advisor at least once a quarter and engage in the resources available to you. Now, once the fall quarter begins, you will have access to all of our academic advising services. Many of you are already familiar with the Virtual Advising Center's Ask a Question function. You are encouraged to continue to use this feature throughout your time at UCSD for questions related to a review of your academic record or current courses, monitoring your progress toward graduation, and other quick inquiries related to your general education or your university requirements. You can also contact us through the VAC to set up an advising appointment to address concerns regarding your long-term plan, major exploration, or academic challenges you may be experiencing. We ask that you address your initial question and concerns through the Virtual Advising Center. This will allow our office to evaluate the scope of your question as soon as possible, and then refer you to either scheduling an appointment with our office if we're unable to address your inquiry, or refer you to another office if they can better address your needs. Please visit the Meet with an Advisor tab on the Virtual Advising Center often, as it will contain our most up-to-date information regarding our advising services.
All right, and we would also like to highlight how you can expect us to communicate with you throughout your time at UC San Diego. So the Virtual Advising Center serves as part of your permanent academic record, and because of this, it is our main method of communication where we answer your questions, share important academic updates, and more. When you receive a message from us or another department, you will receive an email alert, but you can also opt in to receive a text message when you have an unread back message. Just as important is your UCSD email. We encourage you to check your email at least once a day, as this is where you will receive notices from your professors, TAs, Marshall College, and even the university. Please remember that we cannot provide academic advising via email, but if you do need to contact an advising office via email, try not to share your personal information unless you are submitting documents. As noted previously, our office supports students in understanding and completing their general education requirements. Marshall College general education requirements are comprised of lower and upper division coursework. As transfer students, you will need to complete the upper division disciplinary breadth GE requirements. However, your specific lower division GEs will be determined by your transfer agreement. So your transfer agreement will depend on the documentation that you submitted from your previous institution. To provide a quick overview of transfer agreements, you can see that there are 3 general categories. First being IGETC or partial IGETC if you've transferred from a California community college. Another is UC reciprocity if you're transferring from the UC system. And third is articulation. If you haven't already, please refer to your Canvas modules to review the video on transfer agreements. You can also find more information by visiting marshall.ucsd.edu/GE and click on the appropriate box to learn more about your transfer agreement. If you're unsure of the status of your transfer agreement, please do not hesitate to contact our office to receive clarification. So now that you're familiar with how advising works here at UCSD, continue to seek assistance from the appropriate advisors as necessary. We are also available to assist you in creating your personalized long-term plan. As a reminder, the first step in doing so is meeting with your major advisors to ensure that all of your major requirements are listed accurately on your plan. Once you have met with your major advisors, you can reach out to us during the fall quarter or further so we can add in your GE and university requirements and ensure that you can graduate in a timely manner. Over the summer, some of you may have attended our Planning Your First Quarter webinar, and that webinar went into further detail about the academic plans website and how to use it as a guide until you develop your own personalized plan. For those of you who are unable to attend, check out your Canvas modules to watch a recording of that webinar. And speaking about Canvas, hopefully you all have taken some time to review the academic advising portion of those modules. In there, you can find videos explaining the GE requirements, transfer agreements, and how to understand your degree audit. There's also a survey explaining your university requirements and recordings of the webinars from this summer. This content has been created from our office for you to allow you to better prepare yourself for your time here at UC San Diego. In addition, continue to gain familiarity with Canvas, as this is what most of your instructors will use to post materials related to your courses. All right, so at this time, for the next 20 minutes, you'll spend some time with your orientation leaders. Together, you will learn academic resources essential to your time here at UC San Diego. And also during this time, if you have any questions you would like to address to the large group, please let your OL know. They will be gathering your questions and that we'll answer them once we come back together.
So yes, I hope that your orientation leaders were able to show you Triton Link, and hopefully that helped you out. We'll now be moving into a larger Q&A session where the academic advising staff will answer remaining academic questions that you may have, or any questions that your orientation leaders weren't able to answer. And due to the time constraints, we may not be able to answer all questions, but I'm going to be passing it off to Christian and Monica now.
Thank you, Kayla. Yes, so just as a reminder for those of you who have further questions, feel free to submit them through the chat. We just ask that you don't include any personal or specific information that's related to your academic record. But yeah, I'll go ahead and get started with the first question. So is Zoom advising closed in September? So we were closed until this week due to new student orientation, but we do plan to offer services starting next week, if I have that right. One place that you can check is the Meet with an Advisor tab in the Virtual Advising Center. There's a section there that talks about scheduling an appointment, and that is usually updated at least every week. And then once we start offering services, usually daily, it's monitored. So keep a lookout for that as well.
So our next question is about where do you direct questions regarding your IGETC? And there's a few different places you may want to follow up with. The first I would recommend is contacting the college. We can let you know what we see in our systems at this point, and then provide you further guidance on who you might need to contact to follow up if additional action is required. So that may be your previous college if we haven't received your documentation. If it's been sent, but we don't have record of it, you'll want to follow up with admissions. So because there's so many different areas you may need to check in with, we recommend contacting our office first. If you have questions about your IGETC, and you can contact us through the Virtual Advising Center, and then we'll be able to provide additional guidance on your IGETC from there.
Right. There's a question about how do I go about adding a double major? So there is a petition process to add a double major. One of the requirements is being you have a good standing GPA. So that means you need to at least complete fall quarter and be in good standing so that you can start that process. But during the fall quarter, if you wanted to start your research on that, we would recommend starting a conversation with the major advisors that you're planning to declare in, just understanding the coursework that you need to plan so you can move forward accordingly. If you also have questions about that process, our office can help you too through the Virtual Advising Center.
So our next question is noting that the degree audit reports that lower division requirements haven't been met, and the student knows that they completed the requirements at a previous institution. So there's a few different steps that you'll want to take there. If the requirements are specific to your major, please contact your major advisor. They can let you know what their processes are, whether that's petitioning or if an update needs to be made. They would be the best office to address questions regarding your lower division requirements. As a reminder, IGETC, partial IGETC, and UC reciprocity cannot clear lower division major requirements. If your lower division requirements are for your college GEs, we can clear those with the transfer agreements we noted during the presentation. So in that case, if you believe you've met a requirement and it's not cleared, send us a message through the Virtual Advising Center. If you completed IGETC, partial IGETC, or UC reciprocity, we can advise you on what steps you need to take in order to clear those requirements. If you are an articulation student, meaning you don't have a transfer agreement, then we can meet with you in the fall to discuss how you can petition individual courses to meet individual requirements and identify what GEs you do need to complete at the lower division level. So the key thing would be to just identify where you think those requirements would apply, and then either contact your major or the college.
All right, next question is, can our disciplinary breadth courses overlap with our diversity, equity, and inclusion required courses? So just to clarify once again, disciplinary breadth are part of your GE requirements, and DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is a university requirement. So the short answer is yes, it is possible to overlap these. You just want to make sure that this course is meeting the criteria for both of those requirements. So for disciplinary breadth, remember it has to be outside of your major's discipline. If it's significant writing, there's a specific list for that. And then for DEI, there is also a specific list of approved courses as well that can fulfill this requirement. So if it's on both of those lists and it works towards your specific disciplinary breadth, then it can count. If you have a specific course in mind that you'd like to confirm, we can also do that with you through the Virtual Advising Center. All right, and for the next question is talking about specialization in a major. So if your major offers or your department offers different specializations, you want to continue speaking with your major advisors to learn more about how you can declare a specific major. So for example, if you're a cognitive science major and you want to declare a specific specialization, first speak with them just to learn more about how that changes your requirements and your classes that you need to take. And then they can also assist you with specifically how to change that on your Triton link as well.
So we have another question about where to go if you want to meet with an advisor in real time through Zoom. So we are planning appointment scheduling for live one-on-one individual appointments that take place through Zoom. And so you can go to the Virtual Advising Center and click on the Meet with an Advisor tab. All of our registration information will be there next week. So we're closed this week due to new student orientation, but next week we'll begin scheduling those one-on-one sessions over Zoom where you can talk to an advisor in real time.
All right, there is another question which is probably popular among all of you. So your degree audit says that you need to take Doc 1, 2, and 3. Is this true? So the lower division doc series are intended for our first year students. So if you are enrolled in this course or waitlisted, we do recommend that you drop this course so that our first year students can get that seat. It is not likely that you'd need this course, but once again, it depends on your transfer agreement and the courses that you've taken. If you're IGETC certified, you have UC reciprocity, you do not need Doc 1, 2, or 3. If you are still unsure about that, we would recommend contacting our office, either scheduling an appointment during the fall quarter or sending a message through the Virtual Advising Center, and we can confirm that with you. But at this time, I would not worry about Doc 1, 2, or 3, as it's mostly intended for our first year students.
So our next question is about concerns about a transcript from a community college that notes it's been lost and not sure what to do about that. So what I would recommend in that kind of situation where you are missing documents is to first contact the admissions office. The admissions office is responsible for receiving and posting all transcripts to the record. And so our office, we can only view what information has been provided by admissions. We will correspond with admissions, but that would be the first step, would be to check in with them directly. They can be reached at admissionreply@ucsd.edu. And if you need that email address to contact admissions, feel free to send us a message through the back and we can provide the email address. But it's important to note that the admissions office cannot be reached directly through the Virtual Advising Center. And then if you still have concerns after you've checked in with admissions, I would recommend scheduling an individual advising session with our office. And you can do a really quick advising session, but that'll allow us to better understand what communication you've received, as well as how to plan for a follow-up based on the full scope of your situation. And sometimes we can't do that directly through the Virtual Advising Center. So if you've emailed, you haven't been able to reach a solution, plan to meet with us over Zoom when the meeting registration opens up next week. And I'll take the next one, that the degree audit is showing unfulfilled requirements for the GE major. And how do you know which courses have actually transferred, versus which do not transfer? So the key to that will be your academic history. Your academic history will show all courses that have transferred to UCSD. So you'll want to go to Triton Link and then Triton Link Tools to access the academic history, and your orientation leaders can guide you on where that is in the tools. But if you see a course on your academic history and it's not applying towards your degree audit, then you want to follow up with your advisors. So if you thought a course would clear a math requirement for your major and you see the course on your academic history, go ahead and contact your major department. And they can advise you on what steps you may need to take, whether that's petitioning or if an exception just needs to be made to clear the requirement, or if the course is not applicable towards the requirement.
So we still have a few more minutes. If you have more questions, please feel free to send them through the chat and we can answer those. In the meantime, if possible, can we move forward to the next slide? So this is just a screenshot of all of the important dates for the fall 2021 quarter that you'll want to mark on your calendar, as they are the academic deadlines. Feel free to take a screenshot of this so you have it on your own record, but you can also find them in that link included in that slide as well. And just to go over the dates, if there aren't any other questions. So week 2, which is October 8th, is the deadline to add a class. So that's Friday, week 2. And it's also the deadline to apply for part-time study for those of you who are working or are eligible in other reasons. Friday, week 4, which is October 22, is the deadline to drop without a W or without a withdrawal grade. And also the deadline to change your grading option. And then Friday, week 6, which is November 5th, is the deadline to drop with a W from one or all of your classes. So basically remembering those even weeks, as those are the deadlines associated with academic deadlines.
So we still have a couple minutes left. If any of you have any lingering questions, this is your time to ask away. And if anything, if a question comes up, feel free to always refer to the Virtual Advising Center. Yeah, what Tiffany said in the chat, when in doubt, back is the way to go. I agree.
And I'll share one other note. If you could go back to the last slide about the timeline for the quarter, because we got a couple questions in a previous session. The first day of classes is 9/23. That is week 0. So as we noted, you'll follow weeks as you move forward. So you'll start classes on week 0 and fall quarter only. And so as some of your OLs have noted, keep track of those weeks. They fly by really quickly. And let us know if you have questions about timing of deadlines, because staying on top of the weeks is key. Yes, and I'm going to say one of the OLs put in the chat that the deadlines differ for lab courses. So if you are in any lab classes, that deadline is usually week 2, but double checking your syllabus because it can vary.
Well, I want to give a big thank you to Christian and Monica for coming in and talking to us about academic advising and giving a really informative presentation. Once again, wanted to remind you that when in doubt, back it out. Sorry, that was the opportunity we were all talking about in the chat. But yeah, I'm going to be pausing the recording right now. Yeah, so hope that this was a good, nice little 10-minute break. Hope you enjoyed watching the TikToks. Once again, you can follow Marshall at your TMC family on TikTok and Instagram, I believe. So I think you should, and support your OLs that way. Yeah, now we'll be transitioning into our next piece of our presentation. And so we're going to come back together and we're going to be welcoming Fanon Kifleski from our Student Affairs team. Throughout this presentation, we'll be having a few discussion questions that you all can answer either in the chat or by unmuting. So yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Fanon.
Awesome. Thank you, Kayla. Good morning, everyone, or good evening, depending on where in the world you are today. I'm so excited to be with you all today and to welcome you as our newest scholars and citizens. My name is Fanon Kifleski, and I serve as your Assistant Dean of Student Affairs. And I am, super excited to welcome you all, not just because I'm a staff, but because I'm an alum of Marshall College. And so it really makes me excited to welcome new folks into our community. And it's such an honor to support and be a part of your collegiate experience. Part of the reason why I love working at
Marshall College is because it was a transformational experience for me in my time. And so to be able to give back and to play a part in supporting your experience and challenging you through your experience is really fulfilling. So a few things about me. I was born and raised here in San Diego. So if you need recommendations of things to do, I'm happy to share my favorite places to eat or things to engage in, some lesser known beach areas, and highly recommend going beyond the 8 freeway if you get a chance to do that. And also my older brother is a Marshall alum, and a huge reason why I came to Marshall College and UCSD is because he was the first in my family to go to college. We're first generation college graduates, and I saw how it was able to transform my family's life as refugees. And so I wanted to have that experience of being socially aware and conscious and develop careers. And so I'm here representing the Student Affairs team. We are a team dedicated to supporting your co-curricular experience, AKA your out of classroom experience throughout your time at UCSD. And so I invite you all to maybe share some of the ways that you are involved outside of your classroom and your academics in the chat. So then we have a sense of some of the things you're already interested and involved in, and we can help connect you to the equivalent UCSD resource for those things. So if you were involved in sports or debate or advocacy or campaigns in your area, let us know in the chat. During this session, I'm going to be introducing you all to the members of our team, a little bit about the services our unit provides. We're going to review a message you all hopefully saw on the Canvas page from our dean, Amber Vlasnik. And we're going to talk about, why those are critical parts to a healthy campus community. We're also going to talk about the real thing of challenges, right? Challenges are a part of UCSD and college more generally. And so we're going to talk about that and then talk about the support that is built in and available for you throughout your time. We'll talk about involvement and how involvement is a part of your retention at UCSD. We'll have some time for you to have breakout space with your OLs and with your peers, and then we'll open it up for some questions, answers, curiosities. Yeah, does that feel okay? Seeing some head nods, thank you. So this is our team. We make up Marshall Student Affairs under the leadership of Dr. Amber Vlasnik, who's your Dean of Students, and you've hopefully watched that video already. So we are a team of equity-minded practitioners and educators committed to supporting your holistic development. College is about academics, it's about the degree, and it's also about how you grow as a person from your orientation experience all the way through graduation. And so we have the honor and privilege to support you through those experiences and to make sure that you are well and that you're having a great experience during your time at UCSD. So we are committed to your growth, your needs, your well-being, and we support you at your finest moments and also in your most difficult moments. And we work alongside our student leaders and our student community to create, hopefully, a vibrant and inclusive Marshall community where we can all develop as people, as leaders, as scholars, and as citizens. And so you get a chance to connect with the people on this screen at move-in, at Welcome Week events, through student org involvements, or in person and virtual community hours that our staff hosts throughout the academic year. And so in the top half of the screen, you all see our residential life team. So if you live at Marshall College, this is your residential team. And on the bottom right of your screen, you see the student life team, and we support the co-curricular experience of all Marshall students, no matter where you live, if you're in family housing, transfer community at Marshall, or off campus. And so these are some faces that hopefully you can begin to recognize and folks that you'll be engaging with throughout your time. And so we can go to the next slide. So our work, the faces that you saw on the last screen and our unit, is to create and cultivate transformational co-curricular experiences for you. We want to make sure that you all are feeling supported, that you're being challenged, because that's how we grow, and that you're ultimately also feeling connected to the community. And in alignment to our college philosophy, which I know you all have learned about so far today, scholar and citizen, we want you to feel called to serve and to be in community and to be in service of our community. And so you all are about to go through a massive transition, right, into UCSD. And our team is equipped to meet you where you're at and to meet your needs so that you can make sure to be holistically well through this transition and throughout your time at UC San Diego. And so we recognize that our students are diverse, and that means you all have a diverse set of needs. And so we are equipped to be able to support you through leadership opportunities, student organizations to make you feel a sense of community, get you engaged in co-curricular opportunities, and also provide one-on-one support if that's what meets your needs best. So some of the values that guide our work is authenticity. You get what you see. We are full humans that want to engage and connect with you. And we model by walking our talk and being real in our interactions with students. We strive for transparency, and we align our decision-making to our shared values of Marshall College. We value inclusion, and we are unapologetic about it. We want to make sure that every student can bring their whole authentic identities and selves into our community, and that we can make sure that they feel reflected in our community. And so that's important to us. Life has challenges, and our perspective is that we grow through those challenges. And we are better as a community when we support each other through that, and we can do this work collaboratively. Our unit, Student Affairs, we believe that we are nothing without our student leaders and without our student community, right? So we're partners in how we build and sustain an inclusive community. And ultimately, we're hoping that we feel connected and that we create space for those connections to be built. So you all may be feeling like, sounds great, like awesome vision and values, but what does it actually look like? And so if we can go to the next slide. These are some of our core functions and services. And so we have Res Life services and programs, oftentimes led by our RAs or student employees. And we facilitate ways for students and faculty to interact. So our unit helps distribute the Coffee and Dine with a Prof program. And so this is an opportunity for you to connect with a professor or a TA who maybe is teaching in the field that you're interested in, or is teaching in the class that you're enjoying the most. And we'll cover the meal or the coffee, right? So you have a free opportunity to set up this time to connect. And for transfer students, I also want to plug a program called the Marshall Mentor Program that you can apply to in your second year. And this is a program that connects you again with a faculty mentor to work alongside you in your second year at UCSD. So those are two student faculty interactions that you all should definitely take advantage of. As Dean Amber mentioned, we are a part of the university's accountability arm. So we serve as student conduct officers, and the Dean of Student Affairs engages with the academic integrity process. So we are a team of folks that you'll meet with if you are alleged to have violated some of the university's policies, and we'll work with you, right, and have a reflective space, as Dean Amber mentioned in the video. We also are advocates for community safety, and we want to help our students know that they have access to free speech and how you all can engage your voice around the things that matter most to you. So those are some of the pieces. We also have a team of folks that work to support students who are experiencing challenges or crisis during their time at UC San Diego. So that could be challenges that are financial in nature, housing instability, mental health or medical health issues. Maybe you're exploring parts of your identity and you need support with that. We want to make sure that you know you are not alone, and we have a team of staff at the college who are equipped to support you through that. Yeah, again, just normalizing the fact that during your time in college, things are going to come up, and that sometimes can impact the way that we can focus on our academics. And so this is a support team that can support you through those experiences so that those experiences become a part of your journey and not the definer of your UC San Diego experience. And then we have the honor of also working with our students to put on Marshall traditions like Marshall Week, Marshall Palooza, cultural celebration. And we advise our student organizations, and we help develop leaders like your orientation leaders here at the college. So ultimately, we hope to serve as advocates and to build community alongside our students. So we can go to the next slide. So in the Canvas Student Affairs module, if you haven't yet done this, I encourage you to be sure to do this. You have 3 videos from the Dean of Student Affairs, Dean Amber, and she introduces the Student Affairs team. She discusses student conduct and academic integrity. And as I mentioned, those are some of the guiding philosophies and policies for UC San Diego. And so perhaps I can have 2 folks share why academic integrity is important at a university like ours. You can do that in the chat or unmute. Why would academic integrity policies be important at a university? Research 1 university, number 8 public university in the country. Yeah, thank you. Upholds the legitimacy of the degrees, right? I want that. As someone who graduated from UCSD, I want to be able to have employers and graduate and professional schools know that I earned the degree, right? Yeah. Awesome. And thoughts about why policies like the principles of community or student conduct procedures and res life community standards are important in a community like ours? Yeah, thank you, Dominic. Another great addition. Academic integrity promotes new ideas and research while also appreciating other creative and professional works. Yeah, it also gets us to highlight like our brilliance for ourselves, right? And at an institution like ours that is trying to bring new ideas into our fields, that's critical. Any thoughts on the student conduct procedures? We learned a little bit in that video with Dean Amber, some of the most commonly violated policies, alcohol and drug use, noise, non-compliance to university officials. Why are those types of policies important in community?
It makes like a safe environment for everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Sean. And it gives us maybe shared language about what that safety standard is for the entire community, right? I also saw making sure that others feel safe and comfortable where they are. Thank you for those contributions. So yeah, in our families, maybe in our sports teams and schools that we've been a part of, residential community, there are norms, right? And we learn those norms over time. And so as you enter into this new environment, UC San Diego and Marshall College, you're gonna get to know the norms of our community. And it's important to make sure that you know those expectations and policies and guiding values that inform this community so that you can be in alignment with those expectations and standards that our community has set for itself. Awesome, thanks everyone. So I'm gonna go over 5 ways that you can plug into community. And so one of those ways is getting involved with our student organizations. And so we have a number of Marshall organizations that are funded through your student fees. In the Canvas, you can actually break down get to know each of the student organizations or on our website. And you can begin to explore maybe some of the things that you've already been involved in or want to explore for the first time. Get a feel for them by going out to the meetings, and then potentially consider taking on a leadership role within the organization. So we're going to have a student org fair next week on Tuesday, and there's going to be a virtual and an in-person component. And this will be a way for you to get to know the student leaders in our organizations. Another way you can get involved and plug into communities to get a peer mentor through our peer mentor programs. And so we have a transfer peer mentor program, which connects our 2nd and 3rd year transfers with 1st year transfers. We know that transfer students have a shortened amount of time on campus. And so having someone to share opportunities and to guide you can help. And those connections are really useful. And so the application for PMP, what is our shortened form for that, is open now. And so I encourage you to apply for a mentor. And then also I mentioned that we have a number of traditions at Marshall College, and they are student-led and staff-supported. And so Marshall Palooza is a community celebration in the form of a carnival that we have after Marshall Week in the fall. And so during this time, we recruit students to help plan the program. And so if you are interested in marketing or making sure working with vendors and performances, this is a great opportunity for you to get involved. And it's a great way to start your leadership development at UC San Diego and build connections with staff in the college. Next slide, please. And so some other ways, coming out to events and meeting people. So that's kind of the most immediate way to get plugged into community is to maybe go to the Unolympics practice that the OLs have been talking about, or coming out to some of our other Welcome Week events. I know that there might be some fear, anxiety, nerves around just like being amongst strangers or being in crowds again, even. Those feelings are normal, I promise, right? And so shake it off and just recognize that everyone wants to be in community and everyone wants friends. So come out yourself. Maybe if you're vibing well with someone in your OL group, message them and ask if they want to go together to a virtual or in-person program. And number 5, keep an eye out for our leadership development and employment opportunities. And so we hire students at the college, and then we have a number of leadership opportunities as well. So if you want to explore new types of leadership, or if you've always been involved and you want to continue doing that at UC San Diego or Marshall College, wherever you are in that leadership and involvement spectrum, you are welcome, and we are excited to have you plug into those communities. And so we have a Dean of Student Affairs intern program, we have a new Equity and Justice Fellows program, and also our TMC Student Council has applications currently open for their appointed positions, some of which are transfer rep positions. So I encourage you to consider those. The application is on the Canvas page. So I'm hoping that these 5 ways can really help you think about what your next steps are in building community at Marshall College. And so some benefits of getting involved. So students who are involved are more likely to persist, to get retained, and to have a sense of belonging at the university that they are at. So students who are involved spend more time on campus and more time with their peers and staff. And that has amazing implications for their sense of satisfaction with their college experience. You get to build skills that employers and graduate and professional schools are looking for. You get to develop friendships based off of shared interests and values. You get to make meaningful connections with faculty, staff, and administrators. As someone who spent a lot of time with the OLs this summer. I feel like I've gotten to know them, and hopefully they've gotten to know me. And then they are able to use me and other staff members as references or request letters of recommendations as they continue to build out their experiences. And then you also get to enhance your leadership skills. And so again, these leadership and involvement opportunities also can be validated in what we call a co-curricular record, which is a transcript of all the ways that you've been involved at the university. And I believe that was dropped in the chat for you to get a sense of what involvement opportunities are already verified. So I mentioned earlier that we grow through challenges, and that the reality is that we develop and we grow in who we are when we are met with these challenges and we have adequate support for those challenges. And so this is an opportunity for us to get real about what are some of the challenges you all are anticipating might be a part of your collegiate experience. And so I'm going to ask us to launch the poll.
Oh, so sorry. The poll didn't pop up, even though. Apologies, the poll didn't pop up, even though it was.
Okay, no worries.
Preset. I can make it real quick.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll share that students, people grow when we are challenged and we have adequate support for those challenges. And so it's also important to note that challenge is subjective. So what might be really scary or a hard challenge for you, for another student, it may be something that isn't going to be as challenging for them, right? And vice versa, right? Some of us may be freaking out about the semester to quarter transition, or a paper assignment that's going to be assigned in the first quarter at UCSD. And others might be more nervous about moving away for the first time, or living on campus, or balancing a job, involvement, and academics. And so it's important to recognize that your individual sense of challenge is valid, and seeking out supports that meet your needs is important, right? And the reality is that support and help is how people are successful at UC San Diego. No one is doing it alone, right? And so for you to get in touch with what is coming up as potential challenge for you, and then seeking out those supports along the way is critical.
Okay, sorry. I am just about done with it. Let me see now. Got it.
Thank you, Kayla. Lots of folks anticipating time management and transitioning to a quarter system is going to be challenging. The academic shock, feeling not academically prepared for UCSD, making friends, financial challenges, mental health, homesickness, all of them are about at 30% or higher. And so hopefully that gives us, thank you for sharing the results, just a little bit of space to breathe, right? Of like, oh man, other folks are worried about the same things that I do, and maybe being open and honest and communicating through those anticipated challenges and nerves might serve us all well. Okay, so if we can go to the next slide. So these are some of the common realities and potential challenges that was mentioned in the chat. So culture shock, maybe UC San Diego looks ethnically extremely different from what your neighborhood or previous school has look like, and that's real. And there are ways to connect on campus with services and centers that can still allow you to feel connected to that identity or community you've had. Academic rigor, which was a major one, and the hustle at UCSD may be very different from what your experience was like before. And so maybe you have to study differently and sharpen that skill, and the Writing Hub and Oasis might be resources for that. Maybe you're gonna be homesick. I know I went home a lot my fall quarter. The best way to combat homesickness is to make UCSD your home away from home. And you do that by building connection and community with people. So a number of challenges on the left side. And on the right side is a lot of support services and people and roles on campus here to help you through those challenges. So again, you are not alone. Again, we as a student affairs team engage with students in a range of ways, from orientation all the way through graduation and commencement and everything in between, to support you through any and all of the challenges that may be a part of your experience. And so at this time, we are going to transition into some time with your orientation leaders. And this is an opportunity to connect, right? To begin to build that sense of community and connection with your peers. And so, yeah, I'm gonna allow our OLs to take it away, and we'll come back full group for some welcome week review and some Q&A if there are questions. So thank you all for your time and attention, and I hope that you all have some good time connecting with one another.
Okay, we're going to open the break and then passing it back to you, Fanon.
Awesome, thanks. So hopefully folks got a chance to talk through engagement opportunities, but maybe also naming some of the challenges you all are anticipating, and some resource share was able to happen. If you can go, awesome. We are also offering Welcome Week. Actually, some of the sessions have already started. And so this is a time for you to get acquainted with the campus and get to know your peers and staff. And so the main goal of Welcome Week programs is to help you get connected and to create a solid foundation for your time at Marshall College and UC San Diego. And so these are community building programs, socials. We also have affinity groups and an Olympics practice. Affinity groups is an opportunity for you to meet with other people who have a similar salient identity with you. And so that may be your racial ethnic identity, a commitment to doing anti-racist work. We have an LGBTQIA affinity group. We have one for students with disabilities, etc. And so on the Welcome Week link, you can go in and sign up for our virtual programs via Zoom, but also make note of our in-person programs, some of which are listed on the screen here. So again, remember, part of those 5 ways to get engaged and connected is coming out to programs and events. And so here are the ways that you can do that in the next week and a half. So we can go to the next slide. I can take a few questions in the chat potentially, and while we go to the next slide. So hopefully the takeaways from this section of your orientation experience is that challenge is expected and support is necessary, and it is available to you. And that college is about holistic development, right? You're here for your academics, and they matter a whole lot, but so does your engagement and your connection outside of that. That this is just the beginning. So keep the conversations that are happening in your groups online and during Welcome Week, have them going, right? And that the connections you're building are critical, and to maintain that intentional effort to building community throughout your fall quarter and the year. And that TMC is family, and you have a network of support of folks that are like rooting for you, right? We're in your corner and we want to see you succeed here, and we're ready to lend a hand and expect to connect. In order for us to say that TMC is family, we have to actually have the relationship with one another. And we are excited to do that with you. And so Yeah, loving all the bonfire love in the chat. And we can go to the next page. And this was also dropped in the chat, but we invite you to stay connected and stay informed. If you have questions, feel free to email us at tmcstudentaffairs@ucsc.edu. We put together Marshall Memos, which is our college newsletter that goes out Sundays at 5 o'clock. And that includes events, programs, job opportunities, and our in-person and virtual office hours that you can come out to connect with college staff. We're on TikTok, as Kayla mentioned. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. So there's lots of different ways for you to connect with us and ask your questions and help us or allow us to help you find the support and network that you are deserving of as a part of your experience. We can go to the next slide. So just thank you all for your time, your energy, and your engagement. Please do reach out to us at tmcstudentaffairs@ucsd.edu if you have questions, concerns, or if you already have a challenge that you're ready for us to support you with. So thank you, and I'm passing it back off to Kayla, and I'll be here. So if there was a question dropped in the chat, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, everyone give a round of applause for Fanon for coming in and talking to us about Marshall College and what it means to be a scholar and a citizen. Fanon is such an amazing person, and I love working with her. And yeah, everyone say thank you in the chat, hype her up, show some love. Yeah, so we are very close to the end of orientation, but we still have one more thing to do. So you all will be closing out today in your small groups. The OLs will be reviewing Canvas to make sure you understand the mandatory requirements that need to be completed prior to part 2. So you will be ending in small groups in your breakout rooms. And remember, all of the modules will have to be completed prior to part 2, which for you all is on September 17th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So I'm about to reopen the breakout rooms and you all will be able to close out with your orientation leaders.